Hello, Warriors. Angelo, Simon, Hugo, Mike, Steve, how are you, bro? I put
Good
up the
morning,
Trader
Dale.
Summit, wrong one, but maybe it was the right one. Because we have a great Trader Summit coming up again, less than a month away, everybody.
Indeed.
Okay. So, good morning, team. How's everyone doing? Take a look at who's around here. Oh, everyone's here. Hi, Jane.
Morning, mate.
How are you? Okay, so we had a little reversal yesterday in the euro. Is it just a one-day wonder? Possible. I don't think so, especially if it sticks in the next 24 hours. A little bit of a reversal week. What's surprising me is yen strength. Yen didn't give up much yesterday. What are your thoughts of what's happening over there in Japan, Kman?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dale, again. I think a lot has to do with the semi-fiscal year end in Japan and the MOF succeeding to take the vol out of the yen for now.
I can't hear anybody.
Hello, Dale. Can you hear us? We're speaking to you.
We are speaking, Dale.
A few weekly pin bars. Kman, Ryan, Steve.
Oh,
I can't hear you. Hold on a second.
I think he's lagging, guys.
No.
Hello?
Okay. I hear.
Dale, do you hear me?
I can hear Kay, can hear Stel.
I can hear everybody.
Yeah,
Dale can't hear us, though.
Yeah, I think Dale is lagging or something.
No, his settings, I think. Maybe he's I don't know.
All right, what happened to Dale? I had to go grab some coffee. Good morning, everybody.
He's speaking, but he can't hear us. Good morning.
I hear you now. I hear you now.
Hey, hello.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't know how the volume on my headset was turned off all the way down. I must have stepped on it.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Anyway,
stepped on it. You stepped on your headset while it was on your head. That's some serious like yoga you got going on.
Yeah, you know, I'd be in the hospital, but no, there's a little control on the cord. Anyway, so good morning, guys.
Good morning. Good morning.
Well, now we're
what
awake.
do you think? Yeah, so yesterday, just a one-day event, or is there more left in it? I know people are still talking 90 in the euro. Is it possible that at least we set the stage for some type of recovery here?
I think first of all, in the yen, which was your second question, I think a lot has to do with the end of the semi-fiscal year.
Okay, repatriation normal.
Very well through the Japanese session, despite the rest of the dollars being offered. So we will have to see what happens once the Japanese session is finished tomorrow, which is the last day of the month. And then we might have a better idea of what's going on with the yen. And also we have seen the same thing, the same themes going on with euro, sterling, and a couple of other currencies. A lot now is end of month and end of quarter.
Okay.
But I think you found a really good level where you said you were buying yesterday in the euro.
Yeah,
I think it's a really good level, and that will need to hold come October, and for the safety or for the viability of the position. So I don't know what's going to happen after tomorrow's fixings, because we've really seen quite a bit of volume on today's morning fixings as well. First of all, the sterling had been bought, and then later on the euro crosses had been bought in a massive way. Euro sterling rallied for like over 50 pips just in half an hour time. So a lot is going on those fixings.
Okay. Just a quick one. Tomorrow's fix is a Gotobi day. Is that going to have any extra influence?
It could have, but I suspect that I mean, it could have indeed that they leave part to the last day of the period. That's possible. Usually the bigger Gotobi days over the month are 5 and 5, the 5th and the 15th. But yeah, it's possible being semi-fiscal year and that they still have stuff to do. And I actually suspect that part of what we're seeing in the yen is thanks to that.
Cool. Cheers, mate.
Okay, so we probably have to wait till next week to see if what happened yesterday was real. Right, end of month stuff. That's kind of what puts a little doubt in traders' minds that maybe this is month-end stuff. Very, very nice reversal in gold yesterday. And in fact, the gold shares really kind of came out of the hole. Here's GDX. And I was talking about Newmont last week, and I said we needed one more low to have a 3 drive. There it is. So, here it was 1, 2, 3. The trigger was yesterday, and look at a pretty glaring divergence on the daily. So, it looks to me like Newmont, which is the best of breed. And if I would have listened to Newmont and I just kind of wrote it off because after these were earnings, okay, so they were having trouble making money and they shut down one of their mines. It was unprofitable to mine, and that's why I got hammered. And that was the momentum low. And then it did all this work and didn't confirm here, bounced another false start, and then down here. So the gold shares look like they could have a run in them. And so that makes me, I want to see how they behave today with metals a bit lower. Stel, comment on gold. Still, I mean, there have been many reversals intraday that haven't stuck, but yesterday it stuck. Don't you think, the way we closed?
You're talking about gold or Newmont?
Yeah, gold. Well,
gold.
they're pretty.
Yeah, I want to see 1690.
You want it back over the breakout?
Yeah, on a daily close. That's what I want to see.
1680. Why 1690?
16. Well, it's really somewhere between 1680, 1685. So I want to see 1690. Just a nice,
more.
just a few bucks more, just to confirm, I think.
Okay.
But unfortunately, I don't see it yet. It's still. It's as long as it's below that level, it's still bearish for now. Obviously, yesterday's Bank of England move is changing things a little bit. Not massively yet, but it's a first little step. And we wait to see what the other central banks do.
Okay. Andre put out a tweet. He must have some type of harmonic in copper. I talked about it last week. That was one of the only metals not to make a new low with gold and silver, although platinum hasn't yet. Still could set up a third drive, but
copper, Dale, I was actually looking at copper, and it has a really, really nice, bear flag that was developing. And then, obviously this U-turn that you've seen here over the last couple of days. I mean, if I was short, based on what I'm seeing in copper, I would be actually pretty nervous right now.
Yeah. Why can't we recover to $4?
I don't think there's any reason why we can't, especially, especially when you have the equity markets that are holding well above their
your line, Blake. It's it's the line of death for the S&Ps, your blue line.
It is. We talked about this yesterday, and Stelios,
before the rally.
Before the rally, and Stelios and I were like, well, hey, a move back up to 3,900 would make sense to me, especially after central banks are acting. And I think that's the one thing that we really have to understand. And this is a topic that actually Chris Weston and I were talking about last night on his show, was that central banks are actually now actively in the markets, and they're watching what's happening. And that's that move by the Bank of England, whether it was to really save some pension funds, or just protect a collapse of the gilt market, regardless of what it is. It really suggests that central banks are watching at these levels. That doesn't mean that they can prevent further lows and risk and new lows in the stock market. But I think that it kind of put everybody on watch that, hey, look, they are actively involved in the markets. And if you are, if you're bearish and
they're battling the dollar here, they're starting to battle the dollar. There was no fight against the dollar up until the wrecking ball destroyed the gilt market in a day.
Yeah, I mean, it's destroying a lot of different things right now. So, hey, what do you guys think? What do you think is the next central bank to really make some comments in the market if the dollar continues to rally from here? So let's say the euro, dips back into the 95-cent level and the sterling's back below 105. What do you?
The PBOC the PBOC route, just as the flow show started, knocked it right off the highs.
Today.
Yep.
Okay, so I missed those comments overnight. So let me go ahead and grab the charts really quick, Dale. Let's go over to
those in the flow show. Could have had a nice entry up in the 718s.
Oh yeah, that was a huge failure. Well, first of all, as far as the US dollar CNH goes, that was a huge failure. This is the COVID post-COVID highs, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that was it. Like, you're like, oh my God, we're going into the abyss. Now you have to think about what was happening at that moment.
Ryan and Kman were getting long in April. Told the whole community was a home run ball.
They did. Bottom. Yeah. There was like right here.
Yeah.
You guys. Yeah. I mean, okay. So, but let's go to what happened overnight. So, yesterday we had a failed breakout. That was actually a pin bar or, gravestone doji. I hate getting too far into analysis with a managed float currency such as, the US dollar CNH, but I mean, the technical patterns were there. And I know some of you guys trade the US dollar CNH. Like I don't even know if I have the ability retail right now, but I never, even when I was prop trading, for all those years, I never even traded the US dollar CNH. So I don't personally trade it, but I know some of you guys do. So what did you guys short it? I mean, what were you thinking?
Yeah, the headline came out. It was a sources piece. The headline saying that the PBOC has asked state banks to stock up in readiness for intervention. So it was only a sources piece headline. And as soon as I saw that, I jumped in. Kay jumped in. We got in 718s. Wow. I'm still sitting in line. Got out. My lowest exit so far is 713, and I'm going to see how far it goes. But back to your point, we've had the warnings the last couple of days. Another central bank looking to get in and control its currency, and here's the result.
Yeah, no, I mean that's awesome. That's great. Now, Mike said, what foreign central banks can actually do? The US dollar is a runaway train. I don't think. See, that's the problem that I have with the Bank of England working on its own, or the Bank of Japan working on its own. I actually think it has to be more of a coordinated effort, and it will have to. And there was who was the Fed chair? Who was the Fed governor yesterday? Was it yesterday? Said, and it's when you see all these headlines, go around. I mean, some of you guys are better at memorizing like movie lines. Like I'm not that guy. So when I see all these headlines of all these different regional Fed governors, and I always get them all.
You're going to refer to Bostic on Tuesday, aren't you?
Was that on Tuesday when he's like, hey, look, we all talk,
Yeah, not that I've got a photographic memory for these things, but
you do. Well, hey, that's impressive. But I mean, the point is that once you start getting all central banks communicating and talking about it, then I think that's where the risk is in the markets. Like right now, people are going to push. They're going to probably try to push the sterling lower at some point. I mean, you still look at all the sterling crosses. They all look. I mean, we may be, stabilizing, but they all look like they're still moving lower, and you got the euro sterling that still looks very bullish here. I mean, you got the sterling looks pretty bearish. I think people are going to continue to press that, unless we start seeing coordinated central bank activity or statements or commentary. What do you guys think about that?
May I join in?
No.
Okay.
Okay. So Kman, what do you what I'm joking, Steve. What's so go ahead,
Only if you
Steve.
do an impression of Stelios, because he did one of you yesterday.
What do you think, Steve?
I'm going to tell you what I said yesterday on the morning edge, while we still didn't have much of a recovery in equities and not much of a pullback in the dollar. I said that even if we see today being the beginning of a move in the opposite direction, people should keep in mind that this market keeps on sliding a slope of hope. Now, the new hope comes in the form of, oh, look at the BOE. It's stepping in the market. It's doing quantitative easing. It's a matter of time for the Fed to do the same. It's with just a little bit of a delay. My personal opinion is these hopes will be crushed as the previous hopes were crushed that took several different forms. I think we're not there yet. We're not at the point that we're going to see a pivot. And although I do think that yesterday's reversal technically seemed to be important and might signify some short-term top in the dollar and short-term bottom in equities, I think that any move is going to be counter-trend and short-lived. I think it's going to last a lot less than the previous recovery, which lasted 2 months from the middle of June to the middle of August. That's what I believe.
So I agree with you, and Stelios and we were talking about this yesterday about how we can see a recovery back here to about like maybe the 3,900, and then we're probably going to revisit these lows, if not break the lows. But Stelios, could you do in your best Steve impersonation? Can you tell Steve how we analyze the S&P from here?
Sure. Sooner rather than later. It's going to... No, but seriously though, what I don't get is why everybody keeps trying to, like Steve said, that this is the hope that is going to turn. There's no, in my opinion, there's no point trying to time the turn. When it comes, if the central banks are going to tell us, and when it comes, I don't personally care if I miss the first 1, 2, 3, 5% on equity indices or whatever it is that I want to trade. But until then, you get cut and cut and cut again. 1,000 cuts basically.
Yeah, that's by
it's gonna be the actual pivot in the Fed when the Fed finally decides that look, inflation has peaked and the economic data is weak enough where it warrants that they actually stall or stop raising rates. And that doesn't mean, and everybody seems to believe that they raise rates and they're going to bring them right back down again. That I do not believe is going to be the case. And I think people need to keep that in mind. But the market will, I'm sure, cheer the fact that the Fed will actually stop. I mean, especially when you've got, U.S. mortgage rates, peaking their head above 7% right now. So, hey, we got about 10 minutes before this data comes out. We did hear from Kman a little bit earlier. We heard from Ryan. Let me see if we have any of. Is Grega here? Did Grega pop in today? He's not here today. Just
can I throw out a question to the crew?
No, Dale is shut up right now. No,
really, it's very
go ahead, Dale, please.
Very, very important, critical. Like every day is critical. But is it true on this last round of currencies getting smashed that emerging market currencies held up substantially better, maybe with only half the losses that the majors had?
Yes. And
look at the, so does that mean that when we get a dollar turn, instead of trying to bottom pick the majors, we should be looking at emerging market currencies?
Well, it's not all emerging market currencies, because if you look at the dollar rand, I mean, the dollar rand ripped higher right up into resistance, but you can see it did, stalled short of, it actually acted probably a lot like the Aussie, I would say. But you look at the dollar MEX, and the dollar MEX is probably stronger than the US dollar because it has a North American problem, right? But then you can't really make that argument I guess you can if you look at the dollar CAD. The dollar CAD has actually held up a lot better than maybe the Aussie. So you got like I said, it's more of a North American issue. And I actually believe, just you know what actually got my attention was like a year and a half ago. I played golf at my friend's, like, you know, he's a member at this really nice course called Desert Canyon, which is just up the road from me. It's a private golf course, and I was playing with him and one of his buddies who has a company that moved basically 300 employees, manufacturing employees. They shifted from China to Mexico for cost reasons. And I think that's, you know, as costs continue to rise in China, you're going to see this, you know, longer term migration into for US based companies to base all their, you know, their manufacturing out of Mexico. I think that's going to be a big trend that we're going to see over the next several years. And you can actually see it in the currency too. I mean, you know, you look at the dollar MEX and it really stopped weakening, you know, back in, you know, right here in 2020 during COVID. And that might've been it. And I think we're going to longer term move a lot lower. So when we get that green light, Dale, just to make a, you know, just a roundabout answer to your question, whenever we get that Fed pivot, you know, that, hey, they are going to stop and the market cheers that, I think that's the day that you actually buy Mexican pesos and put them away for a while. So that's my opinion. I happen to be short the dollar MEX from overnight. I got short because Banxico is meeting, as Kman corrected me in the chat room, because it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. Or 4 o'clock in the morning. Here's the ForexAnalytix chat room. You know, I put out, you know, the analysis this morning about the dollar MEX and Banxico, and they rejected the 38% retracement. AB equals CD or equal leg move takes us back to 1980. And then he said, Blake, they're expected at 9.25%. And I was like, I misread it because it is 4 o'clock in the morning. So Kman, get off my case, man.
Well, you get what is it? One more month, Blake, and you could sleep in another hour.
I know. I'm excited about that. I actually am. So no, and okay. I'm just harassing Kman, but thank you for correcting me on that. But anyway, the dollar MEX, look at how shallow these bounces are. I mean, this is you know, you can play the dollar and try to time the euro and buy the dip in the euro if you want, but look at the dollar MEX. It's been it's like a flag pattern. So, and speaking of which, speaking of Kman and I are usually the peso traders around here in our community. Do you have any expectations for today, Kman?
Call me Caseman instead of
Caseman. Caseman, what's the case? Kman's on the case.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, there's not a lot to say. 9.25%. I see your dollar MEX picture, and I don't know whether we're going to have like a big move in the dollar MEX as such. It depends on what the dollar is doing in the rest of the pairs. But as you know, I'm a very keen Euro MEX watcher. I should probably be watching MEX yen as well. I'm desperately waiting for a bigger bounce in Euro MEX, and I'm just not getting it. So I still think MEX.
It looks so gross. I mean,
what's going on?
Could you, Kman? I got to say this Euro MEX. I mean, one of the biggest trades prior to COVID this is the best carry trade on the face of the planet. I mean, every portfolio manager was long euros, short Mexican pesos. This was like the carry trade du jour for so long. And I mean, look at how gross that chart and has reversed. I mean, you've called it and you've been short like literally all year. So, and you, like you said, you're desperately waiting for a bounce, but what happens if that bounce never comes? What are you going to chase it lower?
Yeah, I think I'll hit some bits, and I'm actually really trying to be patient to see where we are going to close the month. But if nothing else changes, I think we might be trading on an 18 handle in not too far a distance.
Woo. Okay. Well, okay. And thank you very much for your input. And I'm going to really quick, since we got just a few minutes, I wanted to ask you and Ryan, have you guys got any indication of what we should be expecting for month end, quarter end which is tomorrow, today, and tomorrow. I mean, what are you guys thinking, Ryan? What have you heard anything? Do you have any information on some flows coming through the market? What are you thinking here?
I've seen one model, can't remember who it's for, had dollar buying, but this one's pretty much a finger in the air, wet finger in the air, given everything that's happening intraday. It's just throwing everything around.
It's better than a finger in the butt.
Yep. Not rely on the models too much this time.
Okay, all right. And has the move that we saw, the reversal that we saw in equities, do you think that changed the dynamics at all?
It's always going to change the dynamics because these models are based on what's happened over the month, and then they match it off in what happens in the last few days. And if you get big sharp moves, it changes the picture. So month end's always a tricky one. For those who we watch it, we try and trade it. If we see any outlier moves against what the normal trends are, that's the best way to look at it.
Kman, you got any comments? Sorry, I had to say Kman.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say Kman all the time now.
No. Don't. I'm not Stelios. I'm not Steve. Okay. Don't.
Okay. So, any update?
I wanted to say something. Mester gave some comments saying that the dollar is among the conditions that have tightened and is helpful on inflation. So good luck to all the other central banks if they want to have joint intervention with the Fed. Don't count on it. Now about the end of month, end of quarter flows. I was pretty convinced we would have seen much more dollar buying, but then it seems that the different asset classes are rebalanced on the base ones who would be FX drivers. So the opposite of what I thought that may happen is actually happening. So the dollar 10-year rejected the 4%. So the bond market is rallying a bit. The equity market, instead of seeing dollar buying, which I think has been done for a best part of the month, is now reversing a bit. So that actually puts a very, very mixed picture for the dollar flows for the end of month, end of quarter, and we might actually see the opposite now, where we see selling. But
that's interesting, and I wonder if that is going to be the case. So thank you very much. Hey guys, I'm going to take you over to the ForexAnalytix chat room. I want to show you what's happening in the market. Well, these are like some of my updates and positions that I'm holding. But I just picked up my first piece of gold here at 1648 on XAU. So that was $5 ago, and I know $5 in the grand scheme of things, if silver if gold goes from these levels to 1700, it doesn't mean a whole lot. But look, if you were in the ForexAnalytix chat room and you were looking at the trades room chat room, you would know that. And there's obviously other positions. There's Kman that's actually taking positions as well. So make sure you guys join the ForexAnalytix chat room. Get in there while you can. And I'm going to talk a little bit about gold really quick. We just completed an equal leg move. So I was looking to pick it up this morning. I liked the fact that we actually parked it at the 50% retracement, basically just a little shy of it. But previous resistance, current support, I think a move back above 1680, and I'm going to start aggressively getting long. Well, it's actually 1690, which would be right here. I'm going to start getting aggressively long gold. Just want to give you guys a heads up. That's kind of what I'm doing here with gold. You guys doing anything with precious metals there, Stelios or Dale?
I'm waiting, still waiting.
You're always
waiting. I'm long.
Like
you're
Donkey
long.
Kong.
Yeah,
you're
and
long.
Miners, underwater and miners. Yeah, I'm
waiting for opportunities. And speaking of opportunities, we do have our discount before we raise our prices. So it's a good idea to step in and lock in the price now, before it goes substantially higher in a few days time.
We do, and actually our prices were at $119 a month normally. We dropped them to $99 a month, so you can lock them in now before they go to $189, and they're not coming down from there. So we haven't raised our prices in 4 years, and that is you guys want to lock that in before month end. And once we raise our prices, you guys remember from 4 years ago, once we raised our prices, they never came down again. So that's going to be the same case this time around.
Okay,
we
5
got
seconds.
5 seconds till data. Let's get over to the data, and let me go ahead and what the
Jobless claims a little bit better. Canadian GDP better. GDP in line. Core PC price is higher than expected. Yeah,
it's all old hat data. I won't pay too much attention to it.
All right. Well, the dollar, bounced a little bit. Let's see if it moves here. Where's my S&P at, and why isn't it not there?
GDP deflator at 9.1.
Steve, you gave us the why'd you give us the
No, I just on occasion I just close my eyes and temporarily forget that somehow
what kind of world we're in.
We let inflation run to practically double digits, right?
Well, the good news is you can actually point your finger at somebody because it really wasn't you that did it. So that's the good news, Steve. So when you say we let this world get to where it is, you didn't do it. You're just along for the ride, buddy. We're gonna leave it to the powers that be.
We're all just little specks on the earth.
That's right. That's right. So, hey guys, I know Dale, you got your interview. Hey,
you know what? I'm not sure Neil's in the house, so if you guys want to continue, go ahead. And
well, let me start off by saying this. Tomorrow, there is since I've got a full house here, I got you. I want you guys to hear this. We have had a trader in our community. Well, he's been in my community since before we built ForexAnalytix. So back when I was at MB Trading and the Wise Trade Group, we had a gentleman by the name of Amir Dula Shahi. He has been in our community, my community, really for the last 15 years, maybe 13, 14, 15. Anyway, really interesting story. I say interesting because that's really not the way I should be describing his story. He has a really very, very I'm just going to leave it at that. It's a story that needs to be told. It needs to be heard. And it has been told. But Dale's going to do the interview tomorrow. And he is in our community now. Let me see if I can, if you go over to ForexAnalytix, you go to general. Let's see, this is our general chat room here. And let me go over to, not discussions, some of my chats.
Neil is here.
Oh, Neil's here. Okay, there's Amir. We were just talking about what a great story he has. Chris from Tokyo was just talking about what a cool story that is. Amir's going to be with us tomorrow, and you can see this is Amir right here. And he's been in, like I said, in our community for like 15 years, something like that. I've met him in person and his wife on multiple occasions, actually. And he will be with us tomorrow, weather permitting. He does live in Georgia. And they've got this, if you guys haven't heard, there's a big storm that's coming through the United States. And Amir might be affected by that. So I just want to let you all know that that Dale is going to be hosting that interview tomorrow. So make sure you guys stick around tomorrow. I know normally on Fridays we don't have an interview, but tomorrow we should, weather permitting, as long as Amir is keeping his head above water, literally. So with that being said, want to say have a great day, everybody, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Ryan, Kman, Steve, Stelios, Dale, you guys are all rock stars. Thank you so much for being here every day.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Dream
guys.
Team.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dream Team. And you know what, Kman? You have ice water flowing through your veins. You're not Kman. You're the Iceman. Neil Jacobs, welcome to F.A.C.E. How are you?
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me back.
Hey, Neil, how are you? So
I'm doing great.
Okay. Why don't we, get right to the quiet action that we're having in Bitcoin? Are you sensing that, with risk off and what's happening, chaos in the Forex markets, that this might be a time for people to be considering Bitcoin in all this chaos?
Well, you know me, Dale. I'm not like a trader. I don't try to time this. So for me, anytime's a good time. There's some people under the opinion that Bitcoin trades like a risk on asset right now. So if you do have more uneasiness in the bond markets and that takes equity markets down, people think that Bitcoin will go down with it. It's funny. I looked the last time I was on your show was June 14th. So what is that? July, almost 3 months ago. And right. Bitcoin, the low of those days was around 20,500. And now we're around like 19,500. So for Bitcoin, that even though that's down 5% ish, that's relatively stable. And everything in the world is telling you why the financial system is messed up right now and why we need an alternative. And I think Bitcoin is that long term.
Okay, so, explain it to me. I heard a very good ambassador for Bitcoin, a gentleman named Greg Foss, do you know?
Greg, yeah, I love Greg. He's got quite the emotions, Greg. I love him.
He's very high energy and passionate, and he thinks that the U.S. should make Bitcoin its reserve currency, and then use fiat for daily type of transactions. But he said, what if Russia goes to wanting to get paid in Bitcoin? So
we've already seen we've already seen talks about that. Sorry to interrupt. We've already seen like talks about Russia exploring Bitcoin. The first sovereign nation to step in is going to cause quite the splash. I mean, we did have El Salvador, but they're kind of a nothing on the global stage. So once you see one of these a bigger country jump in, you're going to have the game theory at play, and others are going to have to follow. It's just who's going to make that leap first.
So I think a lot of people, you look at this chart and it looks like it could be vulnerable to another wash. And people that are traders, Neil, are talking like 14,000, something like that. But maybe the way to approach Bitcoin right now is not be cute and do what people have been telling you to do in the stock market for ages. And that's just to put a certain amount of money in, like you do, on a regular interval, and it scales you into a position and hope it takes time for the market to turn. And you are able to get even a better price by not being all in one price.
Yeah, I'm one of the crazy people that has almost my entire net worth in Bitcoin. But for the average person just coming in, I would suggest just put something you're comfortable with, understand the asset. As your conviction with the asset grows, so will your percent of your net worth. Now we are in uncharted times, in modern times, when we're seeing what's happening with the bond market. I don't know.
It's unbelievable to me.
Yeah. I'm not an expert on this by any means. I listen to other people, supposed experts on this, and things just seem really out of whack. And, what would have happened if, the Bank of England didn't step in yesterday, right? Was the Bank of England's moment like the canary in the coal mine? You might be a better person to tell me.
Well, what I think about it, and, we get pretty transfixed on looking at everything in dollar terms. But if you own Bitcoin the last 6 months in Japan, it's worked for you. If you've owned it in, anywhere in the Eurozone, it's worked for you. And the only reason it hasn't worked here is because of the bull market in the dollar, which could change someday. I think within even my lifetime. So
the dollar is still king. Greg Foss likes to say it's the fastest horse at the glue factory. So it's still reigns supreme, and until we have like some sovereigns start accepting it as payment for things like oil and energy, it's still going to have a ways to go. But when I hold Bitcoin, I know I hold a money that has the best characteristics of any money in human history.
Okay, so the Ethereum merge turned out to be kind of hit the wall, or yield right away didn't work. So I know you don't buy anything but Bitcoin. You're a purist in Bitcoin. Any comment on that?
Yeah, I'll
Is
take
it
the
like a
term
penny stock and they're pumping it, or
yeah,
what?
I'll take the term purist as a compliment. I've just
Yeah.
come to like an understanding about Bitcoin, where everything else is kind of centralized and mimics a lot of what we see in the fiat currency system. Like the fact that there was some big change to Ethereum, right, affecting billions and billions of dollars on the line, reminds me of the Federal Reserve coming in and making changes at a whim. You know, we're trying to get away from that with Bitcoin, and you know, Bitcoin doesn't work that way. It's not easy to make big changes. It's not easy to make any changes at all. Everything with Bitcoin has been gradual changes over time.
Okay, so you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people from my generation that need to be educated on the process. I know I could open up an account and trade Bitcoin,
Yeah,
but the way to actually take possession and cold storage and how you would go about it, do you wire money from your bank to a broker? Is there any kind of resource for people, say they've never bought crypto before or they've never bought Bitcoin, that would be a primer and outline the steps to take to be able to not just buy it, but have delivery and possession of it?
So there's not like one central guide. Remember, this is a decentralized money where there is no lead organization. There are, you know, one that I like to recommend, and just full disclosure, I do contract work for this company, but they're not paying me to say this, but I do contract work for this company, a Swan Bitcoin, like the bird Swan. They have a great onboarding process, and they, you know, for high net worth individuals, they have a private service. They'll kind of hold your hand, but they'll do that for almost anyone. Well, they'll show you how to buy it and how to custody it yourself. They have great educational resources on their site. So I would check out Swan.
I know it's not complicated to you, but is it complicated to most people?
Not to really get started. You could buy Bitcoin in like under 5-10 minutes. You know, you sign up with an account. I could post like a link. I'll post my own referral link in there, but you could just go to swanbitcoin.com too. And it's pretty easy. I think the whole, you know, process would literally take 5 to 10 minutes to buy Bitcoin. So, you know, you buy it, you're not yet custodying it, right? It's like buying paper gold. You know, it's out there in your brokerage account in the ether until you actually take possession, right? The custody that you said, it's still an IOU to you. But the great thing about Bitcoin is, unlike gold, you know, it's easily deliverable. I could get the Bitcoin delivered to me in you know, 10 minutes. You know, with gold, you know, I experimented in gold, and it took like a month and a half for gold
to get delivery from that's a, you know,
and I use one of the more reputable ones. I think it was I'm not trying to throw anyone under the bus. I think it was called JM Bullion.
Oh, okay.
Is that, but that was,
I mean, I just ordered physical silver. It did take about 4 or 5 days to get it delivered.
Even still, like,
you're right.
Settlement,
you don't need an intermediary.
Correct. It's all peer to peer. It's a great discovery.
Okay, so you know, talking about something that I think is going to drive people to it. First of all, I think a weaker dollar would be part of it, but once people start to become aware of CBDCs, do you think by that time, you know, the smart money's already in, and that's when, you know, people go, well, you know, if we're digital, I'd rather not be in a fiat digital, which is what it's going to be, right?
Yeah. Well, so we already are like in a hybrid digital world right now, but CBDCs are a dystopia, right? It's basically
surveillance.
It's surveillance. It's one central power telling you need to spend your money right now, right? Or you can spend your money at this place because you were bad. You know, you drove 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. We're only going to let you use your CBDC money on food. That's not the kind of world I want to live in. And I think we unfortunately are kind of heading towards that with a lot of these countries. I don't know if it's anytime in the near future. So do you
think you could live in that world without being part of that world by having Bitcoin, that you're going to be able to operate in a society that's dominated by that type of dystopian environment?
So my argument would be twofold. One, you'll have this type of jurisdictional arbitrage where people who prefer freedom will leave towards jurisdictions that are more favorable to Bitcoin. Also, I just don't think these CBDCs will work long term. I think the incentives will drive people towards Bitcoin. Maybe in more oppressive regimes like a North Korea, if they wanted to do it, maybe they could get away with it for long term. But a country like the US, where everyone's so divided and everyone's kind of like fighting with each other, I think the free market, I think the free market would win out. Like people would say, you know, we see black markets all the time throughout history, but I think Bitcoin as a black market in the CBDC world would eventually win out anyways and become what people use. We see in other countries right now, there's black market rates for currencies and then bank rates. So people find a way, they find what they want to use.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what they say, Neil, there's an old expression on Wall Street, and what they calling Bitcoin now, they talked about Miami being like a crypto hub that will, real estate was benefiting from all the crypto billionaires moving there. And now they say it's crypto winter. And as you can tell, I've been around for a while, but not this long. There's an old Wall Street saying, buy straw hats in winter. So it's a crypto winter, right? That's when you get them cheap.
That's when you get a good deal. Yeah. I'm very, I have an aversion to the word crypto in general because I am a Bitcoin person. Right. Although Bitcoin, works with cryptography, the whole crypto word has been completely pillaged by the crypto industry. So are we in a Bitcoin bear market, a Bitcoin winter? Sure. Is all the crypto scams kind of, they kind of follow whatever Bitcoin does, right? They're like the tail and Bitcoin's the dog.
That also contributed to price depreciation. Just the whole fraud thing that had nothing to do with Bitcoin, right? It got colored.
Yeah, I think a lot of Bitcoiners underestimated the contagion effects that would happen when all these over-leveraged crypto altcoin firms kind of collapse. What they had to, settle a lot of their debts, margin calls. What do they sell? They're going to sell their Bitcoin, the most liquid asset out there, trades 24/7 to cover all their bad gambling. So of course, the price of Bitcoin is going to plummet when you have these knock-on effects from the crypto markets.
Well, there was a day, it was this week. It feels like weeks ago already.
I can't keep up with the weeks or the days anymore.
The market was down, Neil, and we were having currency problems, and Bitcoin was up $300-400 with the whole screen red. And I'm looking for different asset classes to begin to differentiate themselves from each other, but it seems like they're still all tethered by the dollar. The dollar weakens, things go up. Dollar strengthens, things go down. But there was a day this week when Bitcoin tried to, it was up with the everything down, and to me it looks like we're building some type of base here. There was divergence here.
We actually saw the New York Times had a headline that said currencies around the world are tumbling except Bitcoin. The cryptocurrency has risen 6.5% over the past 7 days. Obviously, now we've.
Did you write a letter to the editor and correct him about crypto? Can't let that get out in the public domain.
No, but I hope me talking with you, Dale, like you help start making the change. Like it's really important. Especially when, you talked about these CBDCs coming in the future, we need to show a good contrast, and Bitcoin is that. And I don't want it to get muddled with all the other, as we like to say it, shit coins out there. We want to see Bitcoin go toe to toe, and it will, in my opinion, it will win out. But all these other cryptocurrencies are noise. And the more people who understand Bitcoin, the stronger fight we'll be able to take on against this these CBDCs and other government overreach.
Okay, so you want to tell me how your shirt sales are going here, so we could spread the word?
So
I think I'll buy one, Neil.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So
it's taken me years, but I'm starting to really starting to think that we're getting that it's time.
Yeah.
To
so
at least have your toe in the water.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing up our my website. It's called FOMO21.com. FOMO stands for it stands for fear of missing out, and 21 is for 21 million Bitcoin, because there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. So yeah, most services, Bitcoin related companies and bear markets kind of track with the Bitcoin price, unfortunately. Luckily, we're very agile, and we've seen a nice bump recently in sales, probably just because I won't stop talking about it on Twitter, and I have a pretty good reach. But we have over 3,000 products on the site, men, women, children.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're this company we started earlier in the year, but it's moving slow and steady, and I'm very confident about its future.
You know what? It's not just an asset class; it's a culture, isn't it?
Yeah, so you could own Bitcoin and not be a part of the culture. Like, Bitcoin is for anyone. So you don't have to prescribe to what the loudest thing in the room is saying. A lot of people try to throw shade at Bitcoin, so to speak, because there's some loud voices who are like, I only do this and I live this one. But you know what? Bitcoin is about individual freedom and sovereignty. You could do whatever you want. Anyone could own Bitcoin. No one could stop you. No government could cut you off. No influencer or culture could tell you. It's just money. It's just money. It's a tool, and that's what money should be.
I'm surprised you don't hear about it from libertarian candidates in the political sphere. It's the ideal thing that fits their philosophy.
Yeah, we've had some more I guess fringe candidates talk about it. You've seen Ron Paul over the years kind of mention it. He's always been end the Fed,
Gold
end
guy.
the Fed, and it seems like he's a lot of what has said has come out to be true over the years. It's just taken a long time to pan out. But yeah, it makes sense for libertarians. A lot of people who are initially drawn to Bitcoin have more of a conservative or libertarian bent to them. And it kind of makes sense because, at least in theory, they're more about separating things from government, and Bitcoin is separating money for government. But Bitcoin is really great for anyone. There are progressive and liberal cases for Bitcoin as well. And like I said, it's just a tool. It's a tool to transmit value across space and time. So it's not for any one party or religion or any culture.
I tell you what, you are one of the best ambassadors that I speak to about Bitcoin.
Well, thank you.
Crypto.
I've had a Bitcoin, not crypto.
Right.
I've been really fortunate to been in circles with some of the brightest Bitcoin minds in the world. And I've just benefited off what they've said. It's really hard to come up with new original thought in the Bitcoin space, but I really stand on the shoulders of who I consider as
you had
great
mentors.
minds.
Yeah.
Great minds.
Yeah. So community once again wins out. So
yeah, like I said, the word community, it's kind of a trigger in the Bitcoin community, right? Because it is a tool, Bitcoin, and it doesn't belong to anyone. But yeah, it's good to have a circle of people who you could bounce off ideas from and theories and concepts. And in bear markets,
mastermind together.
And brainstorm. And in bear markets, it's nice to have that kind of support group for sure.
Sure, misery loves company, Neil.
It's not even that. It kind of, yes and no, but it's more. No, but I'm the negative energy that we're experiencing right now. It has an effect on me. There is a burnout, but you go back to first principles and why you're here in the first place. And we've seen this happen with Bitcoin, year after year, where Bitcoin has this kind of run. You have the retail come in, FOMO into it. It pops off, it draws back down. But you have some people who came in for the first time who might be underwater, but they're like, what is this thing? They learn about it. They build conviction. And then you have the next run up again. And I think we're going to see that. And eventually, hopefully, Bitcoin reaches some sort of escape velocity where we don't go through these boom and bust cycles. But for now, this is just kind of what we're going to see.
Okay, well, I look at this monthly chart here, and 18,000 was a high, prior high before we pulled back to 3,000 for this big run.
Yes.
And then we had
I remember that. I held all the way down from that too, and that was not easy either.
Here we are really testing, a prior high, pretty important. But the thing that stands out to me technically, I believe that in threes for completions of patterns, and we've only had 2 in Bitcoin. So for this pattern to complete, I could make a case for a third drive, taking it to new highs for the pattern to complete. Doesn't guarantee that it can't still work lower first, but it looks like unfilled destiny for a new high.
Maybe. I always thought like double tops were the thing, and there's no such thing as a triple top, Dale, but you're more of an expert in this area. So yeah, well, I'll go with what you say.
Yeah, it's they're not tops because each one makes a successive high.
They're pretty close, but you're right.
Yeah, so I'm thinking there's another one of these coming. Just something to think about, and I think a lot of it'll have to do with people, the dollar becoming more of a two-way street than a one-way street. I don't think we're that far away from that.
Yeah, you may be right. Like I said, I don't get into like the trading. I do I have a basic understanding.
Well, it's definitely less of a stressful existence. And I envy you.
Yeah. Well, I don't think holding Bitcoin, being a Bitcoin hodler, as we like to say, is less stressful. It's still it could be very stressful when you have a large amount of your net worth, and especially if you don't understand it. But like I said, I'm the day-to-day, the trading, it's not something I'm focused on. But I don't know if you caught yesterday. Did you see anything Stanley Druckenmiller was saying about Bitcoin and the crypto space at large?
No.
Yeah. So yesterday, and I'm gonna just pretend that he said Bitcoin and not crypto. Okay. I'm pretty sure he's basically mostly in cryptocurrency, but he said, or mostly in Bitcoin, sorry. But he said that crypto could enjoy a renaissance as trust in banks fade. So when you have people like him saying it, it means something. It definitely means something.
You need Ray Dalio now.
Ray Dalio, he says he has some exposure to Bitcoin, whether that's actual spot Bitcoin that he custodies. I'm doubtful about that.
But Druckenmiller is definitely a high credibility voice to say something like that.
It's kind of started for me in terms of seeing the high credibility voices back in, I think it was May of 2020, where Paul Tudor Jones first came out and kind of threw his support. You've seen Bill Miller throw his support behind Bitcoin. You have Druckenmiller. I think it's a matter of time till everyone is in it. It's just, you kind of get Bitcoin at the price you deserve. And we'll see when these other well-known investors like Ray Dalio actually have a stronger conviction. And you got to remember, everyone has their own incentives in play. And for a long time, Ray Dalio has been a big proponent of China kind of taking over. And I kind of think that narrative's kind of falling apart when you see things like the social credit system they're trying to build, CBDCs, and look, the dollar is still winning. As far as other fiat currencies go, are people going to trust China? Are they going to trust Russia? They trust the US, whether that's a good thing or not. They do. It has longer credibility. I don't see China ever becoming some world currency. And if it does, we're in trouble.
I agree. All you have to do is look back to North Korea. Read about
it's really scary. It's really scary when you hear about the experiments they're doing on their people. They're at the economic experience. It's really scary.
Yeah. Well, you know what? It was really great to hear from you again, Neil.
Thanks for having me on. I hope to be
back. Everyone, maybe you put a link and people that see it may go out and do a little shopping with you for Christmas or Halloween.
Yeah, I just put it in the chat. I also earlier, I don't know if it hyperlinked in the chat.
Oh, the
I also
black
put
Swan Bitcoin.
Yeah, so you could click that link.
Down.
That link, I think it gets you like $10 when you sign up. But even if you just go to swanbitcoin.com, I think it's a good onboarding process. Okay. Good hand holding. It's not a trading platform. When you go there, you go to buy. They don't even have a sell button there. Like it's all about custodying. It's like going to JM Bullion, right? And you buy gold. It's not there to like trade gold, paper gold. Now, if you really needed to sell your Bitcoin, you could get on the phone with someone at Swan and they will sell it for you. But I think 98% of their action is buy side because like everyone just goes there to accumulate. They're not going there for a short-term trade.
Okay, great info. So I appreciate the edification for me. I asked this for me, and I'm sure I'm not the only one with silver hair, although I like silver along with Bitcoin. That needs to know how to do it. To us, a wallet's something made of leather that you put your credit cards and cash in.
Yeah. Well, you know what though, Dale, I like to talk to people like 50 years ago, credit cards first came on the scene. Maybe a little, was it the 70s or maybe it was the 60s?
I can't remember those 2 decades.
It's before I wasn't even born during that time. But back then, I was watching an old video from the BBC the other day, and they were showing people using credit cards, and stores were like, "We don't accept this," and people hesitant. But credit cards are a form of digital payment, right? And then most of your money today is digital. Right. Most people don't have that much cash. Like I would guess that 90% of the people listening or most of the people listening, 90% of the cash they have is in a bank. Right.
Yeah.
So
we're
already used to digital. It's just a learning curve for people, but they'll get there.
Okay. Well, if I can, anyone can do it.
And I look forward to you buying Bitcoin and custodying it yourself, and use my link that I posted. All right, in the
buddy,
chat
you got it. You got it. So thank you. Give and receive. That's reap and sow. So thank you so much again, Neil.
Thanks for having me on. Hope to see you again.
Yeah, we'll do it. All right. Everyone.
Thank you.
Neil Jacobs. Take it easy.
And you could find me on Twitter at Neil Jacobs. And anybody, seriously, and I mean this, if you have a question about Bitcoin, message me. I don't care if you have 10 followers on Twitter or 50,000. I will try to answer your question or direct you to the right person because I'm all about the mission and advocating for Bitcoin. All right, I'm done talking.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Neil. All right, everyone, you could join the team in 13 minutes on the Morning Edge. Remember, don't just count your Bitcoins, count your blessings. See everyone tomorrow for wrap up audio.